Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Equestrian Business Handbook. It's day 5 and I'm Justina Cook. I'm going to take you through today's training, which is about websites. So everybody in business must have a good website. I hear too often these days that, I don't really need a website because of this, or I don't really need one because of that. We've got Facebook, we've got the other. But what I will say to you is, please don't skip past having a website. People do judge your business or your business potential on your website. So you need to have a website if you sell a product, and if you're a rider looking for potential sponsors, I would highly recommend that you have a website too. Now make sure you do have your product for sale on your website if you've got a product for sale, because you'll be amazed how many people will put something on the lines of contact me for this, that, the other to order, rather than go to the effort, if you like, of having those products actually physically for sale. It doesn't have to be a full range of products, just a sample, maybe even products, or you can have very clear descriptions within there as well. If your product obviously takes some time to produce, or if it's a one-off type product that you're going to make, just make sure that you do have products for sale on your website. Because if somebody's browsing around, happens to land on your website and you've got exactly what they need, but they can't buy it, what's going to happen? They're going to go somewhere else, and then you're going to lose customers. So make sure you've always got that ability to be able to take an order from somebody and take the money for the product that you are selling. If you are a rider, make sure you have very clear sponsorship packages on there, because if you start a really good marketing campaign around looking for sponsorship, then you will bring people to your website that are potential sponsors. They could be small businesses, they could be big businesses. But unless you're very clear on the packages that you've got available, and make packages available for every level of business, and also you could mention the fact that you can offer an exclusive sponsorship package. They're very few and far between these days, but they are still out there for the right people. So I would just make that very clear on there as well, and how to contact you and move forward with a potential sponsorship. So all the other elements that we've covered so far would be very specific for you guys as well, looking for sponsorship. We are going to provide you with a fantastic how to get yourself more sponsorship, or get started on the sponsorship pathway, if you like, for riders. Now that's going to be coming up soon, and we'll keep you posted about that. So websites, have one made or build your own. What's the best advice? Well, you can do either. If you've got the money to have a website made for you, then go ahead and do that, because you really need to be focusing your time on your business and what it is that you do. If you have, or if you really want to build your own, you love the creative side of it, there's various different ways you can do that too. Average price to build a website from scratch for you with your own copy and your photos is £250 to £1,000 plus, depending on what you want that website to do. You can build your own website using WordPress if your tech skills are good. WordPress is quite tricky, so it's not an easy one to use. Or you could use something a lot easier like Builderall. Now Builderall we love. It gives you all the capability of WordPress, but without the tech stress. So it's really straightforward to use and great tutorial all the way. We use Builderall ourselves, and we recommend it highly for all our clients. So here's some website tips. You must have contact details and all your social links at the top of your first page, your home page in effect. And I always like to make them clearly visible on every page that somebody lands on. I like to use icons and links for those, and then follow that with text on a contact page. Now, what do I mean by that? So you may see on top of some people's websites, you'll have a Facebook symbol, an envelope for email symbol, a phone for a phone, phone symbol for phone contacts, Instagram, and so on. Now, the brilliant thing about these icons is when you are creating them, you have an option to put a link in. And within that link, say, for example, your Facebook one, you would basically go to your URL for that particular Facebook page, and you would copy and paste that into the box and save that as your link. So then what happens is when somebody clicks on your Facebook, it takes them straight through to the Facebook page and opens generally in a separate window, which is fantastic because they don't lose where they are. It's a separate window. They can keep it up on their phone if they want to go back to at a later date. They haven't got to try and copy and paste number or URL or whatever. It just is a brilliant way to do that. Always have an opt-in box on your first page, and I like it actually as a pop-up because then you can actually create that to pop up on any page, no matter where a person lands first, because it may be that they're searching for something specific that you do and they search on Google or Facebook and it actually takes them to somewhere else first rather than your homepage. So it's really useful for that pop-up box to arrive there. And what does that pop-up box do? Well, it basically collects contact information. So people that are really interested in using your product. Now, quite often you'll see a pop-up come up and it might say, would you like to subscribe to our newsletter? I would say that is being less and less enticing for people. So I would always offer them something alongside it. So a free download, tips to do this or how to do that, or there could be 101 different things, a discount on a product, a first lesson half price, a first lesson free, I don't know, whatever you want to do there to entice that person to get onto your mailing list. Obviously a lesson, really, first lesson free would be a bit extravagant, but whichever way you're feeling, you could do that specifically for a promotion in your first days or so in your promotional week to really get people talking and a bit of excitement, and you can use that and promote that actually through your Facebook too. Now if you've got that set up as a pop-up to appear, you can time it as well, so it doesn't necessarily pop up straight away on a page, because I personally find that quite annoying when you land on a page straight away and you're looking, you're going to a website to find out some information and this flipping box pops up in your face straight away. So I would give that a delay of a few seconds to allow people to start to read and understand what you're about, because if that comes up too early and people haven't had chance to start to read what you're about, they tend to click the cross button on the top corner to get rid of it. And then obviously it's not necessarily going to come back again if they want to get in contact with you. So I give them chance to start having a look around your website, or at least read some of your first page. So why is the pop-up box and the list so important? Because building your list from your opt-in box is absolutely vital, and through all your advertising as well. Got a full training to follow on list building and some great challenges for you as well to get you all started if you haven't started already. It's such a fantastic way really to grow your business, because you can think about how fantastic, or just think about for a second, how fantastic that would be to be able to speak to anybody that you've ever met at the touch of a button, because anybody that you've ever met, potentially you've got their email address for, or anybody that's worked with you or been part of your business, used your service, bought your products, you've got an online digital database of the complete list, which you can talk to at the touch of a button straight into their inbox. Okay, so next tips. Photos. Don't use low quality photos on your website, especially if they are going to be stretched to be a little bit bigger than the small image that they pop up in, because they will just get grainy. If you struggle to find really good quality photographs, then you can try Pixabay, Unsplash or Shutterstock. There's loads out there. Shutterstock is a paid one. Pixabay and Unsplash, you can get loads of free ones, which is fantastic. Always think about emotion and feeling. So it's been statistically proven, that the adverts and the websites that have more attention are the ones that create feeling. So it's generally faces and eyes that create feeling, expression, excitement, emotion. So, you know, people with excited faces, that sort of thing, you know, horses' eyes, beautiful pictures of horses' eyes, they always create emotion too. So there are just a few things to bear in mind when you're picking your photos. Check permission for the photos that you do use. If you take them from a commercial site or even from some of the paid sites, because you may be limited in the ways that you can use it. You may be fine to use it for all your social media and your website, etc. But if you were to develop that into an item that was then going to be for sale in volume, you may have a problem. Don't take images from Google. You don't know whose they are, and you could find yourself inadvertently in a legal battle. Unfortunately, there's some very unscrupulous people out there that specifically do this and chuck adverts out there in an attempt to try and trick people up and take them to court and fine them. You know, put charges against or press charges against them for plagiarism and copyright, for example. Avoid using really large photos on your website, both in physical size and on the page, on the page and the file size itself, because it will slow your website down. Remember, again, I know I've said it before, but we are in the Google age, so your people are scrolling. You've literally got 2 seconds to make an impact. I know myself, if I click on a website, it doesn't load immediately, I'm gone. So, you know, just bear that in mind too, and check it once you've got your website up and running. Make sure your pictures are congruent. What do I mean by that? Is that they say clearly what you do. It wouldn't be any point you having a picture on there if you're a dressage trainer and then having some pictures of somebody washing rugs. You know, that just wouldn't make any sense whatsoever, would it really? And if you are specifically a dressage trainer, unless you are talking about dressage training for other disciplines, it wouldn't really make sense for you to have a picture of a show jumping horse on there, you know, horse jumping anyway. Do your pictures have the right feel? Do they complement your brand colours? Do they look towards the text? If you've got text, for example, that is calling to action, you know, it's a good tip to have the person or people in the image or the horse pointing in the direction towards the text. Does it create a specific feeling that connects with the words that you've got on your website in that same area? Have you got your branded clothing on, importantly, if it's a picture of you? If you haven't, there's a few little tips that we can use to actually pop a logo onto your jacket. You can use some of the great apps. You can use WordSwag. You can also use Enlight and a few others. If you've got an image and you think, I really like that, but I haven't got a jacket with a logo on, you can get your logo saved with a transparent background, and hey presto, you can bring it into that image and blend it or save it on top of that image, and so you've got a logo there. It may not look absolutely perfect, but when it's quite small on your website, potentially, that'll look fine. If it's something obviously that's going to be printed, it won't look so great. Or if it's something that, you know, is going to suddenly take up a large area on your website, I'd be mindful of doing that then, because it may look a little bit unclear or a bit unprofessional. So the website itself, make it really clear. Have a real clear description about what you do. What do you fulfill? What need do you fulfill? Or what problem do you solve? Connect with feeling. You know, how will the customer feel when they've used you or your products? Always connect with feeling, because it's not just great to use big and fantastic and wonderful and all those sort of descriptive words. Quite often it's great to go into a bit more detail. So really can go into detail about, you know, how you would feel about a particular element of the business, or what the customer would feel, for example, when they've been to you and had your fantastic dressage training, how they would feel when they're going to the next competition, knowing that they have invested in some training with you and they feel really happy and confident and heading down the centre line, feeling sure that they're going to give their absolute best performance. And then when they've finished their dressage test and it's all gone absolutely beautifully, and to key, I mean, I know horses, can be horses, but generally this will give you an idea, and you have finished and you've saluted and you put your horse away, you can't wait to go to the judge's box or the secretary's office to go and find out your score or to see it on the board. Try and connect the feeling around that. You know, that is going into quite a lot of detail, but it is pretty worthwhile doing. Have testimonials on your website too, for the same reason really. People do like to see social proof. They do check you out. They do go around all your different platforms. So there's another reason why you should have your website, because you know, they'll check you out on Facebook, they'll check you out on other to see where else they can find you. And if they can't find you having a website, or if you've got a really old website, then they'll be right, okay. It comes down to that same thing again, of people do make a judgment on you from your website. So I would always have some of your testimonials on your first page. Doesn't have to be all of them, 2 to 3 maybe, or even 1 if it's a longer one. And then that can obviously, the rest of them can sit in another page. Have a really cool, a clear call to action button for your customer. What is it that you want them to do when you visit your website? Have a think about that and be very clear, so that you know what your call to action is and you are encouraging them to make contact with you. Now this is getting even more important now. Your website must be optimized for mobile. So what does that mean? Well, basically it means that your website is as beautiful on a mobile phone or a tablet as it is on somebody's laptop or PC. Ofcom Consumer Research from 2016 showed mobile use in the UK at 72% and predicted to be much higher for 2017. Most other countries are substantially higher than us. They're up to nearly 90% already. So I suspect that's probably where we're going to be for this year. Now, what happens if your website isn't optimized for mobile? If it isn't optimized, elements can jump around and be misplaced. Things can be unreadable, pictures not visible. You know, it can cause absolute havoc on a beautiful website. And of course, that doesn't look very professional, does it? The problem is as well, you know, you may say, oh, well, people can see it when they get home. But you don't want people to have to wait until they get home to see your website. You know, if they're looking on a device, more often than not, they're going to be out and about. So you want them to be able to find your website, and especially if you have product sale, you want them to be able to see what they're looking for straight away. Now, how do you go about that? Well, if you are building your website yourself, you should find now with pretty much all of the website building providers, you have mobile or optimization available for mobile. What that then means is then you click a button, you will optimize your website for mobile, and then you'll have to manually check the layout on there to make sure that it comes up okay on mobile. And then you generally got the ability then to be able to move things around. It can get a little bit tricky, but you know, just a little bit of patience and you will get that sorted. So domain name. You know what the name is for your business. You've already checked earlier in the week that your domain name is available. You can buy your domain name from godaddy.com or 123reg.com. And your domain name basically is your www.mybusinessname.com. So whatever your business name is, .com or whatever other thing you're going to be using for that. If your name isn't available, say for example for me, if justinacook.com wasn't available, I could then try using a hyphen in between the words or adding a relevant word to it. So coach, mentor, anything like that that's relevant to your business that you could add to it. I would always recommend going for .com first. It gives you more options going forward and looks most professional. If you are in the UK, you can use .co.uk, but it is a bit restricted, obviously, for you moving forwards if you're going to be reaching out to other countries. There are also other types of domain name available. You'll see all these when you search. Please check all of them out. Don't just grab one and use it if it's got a weird name to it, because they're not all the same. They do generally have a little description if you hover over it, or they've got a little button next to it that you can click, which gives you more detail on that specific domain name. GoDaddy are doing brilliant offers at the moment, and I think it is basically like 1 pence to buy your domain for 1 year, because you have to then pay for it annually to keep it. So it's 1 pence for 1 year, and then I think it starts at like £15 or £10 or something or other for your second year. Then you might have a little bit of VAT put on, but sort of starting at, I would say, £17 for your domain name for 2 years. If you want to be really sure that nobody is going to copy your domain name, then you might want to buy more than one version. So say, for example, mydomainname.com, you might want to buy mydomainname.co.uk and .org. If you want to buy a pack of them, sometimes you can get an offer anyway for buying more than one. Now, what happens when you've bought your domain name? How do you link that to your website? Well, basically what you need to do is you need to go into the DNS settings of your website and add in the details of your domain name and then save it. It varies really on the amount of time that takes to go live. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it can take 24 to 48 hours, but your domain provider will tell you in the text where you bought it from, how long that is going to take to go live. So website SEO, you might have heard about this before. Search engine optimization. I'm not going to go into this very deeply at the moment because it is a massive area all by itself. But basically what it is what's needed by the search engines to be able to find you. It doesn't just work from your business name, but also works from keywords and other data within your website. So say, for example, the keywords that somebody would use to search for you. Make sure you have these regularly in your page descriptions and obviously in your page title bar if you can fit that in as well. Just get it into your page as often as possible, but no more than 10 times on one page. And that is a really good guideline really for SEO. You can also employ someone to do your SEO for you. It can get quite expensive. Builderall has built in a very effective SEO tool which will help you narrow down and fire up all your keywords. It also has a website hotspots option as well, which will tell you the most viewed area of your website, and you can clearly see what works and what doesn't. So if there's something on there that really isn't actually working and attracting people at all, you could actually take that out and maybe put something in there that might be of more interest. Okay, website and email. So make sure that you've got an email address that matches your domain name, i.e. your name at yourbusiness.com. I hope that makes sense. Hotmail email just doesn't cut it anymore, or anything along those lines. I mean, would you really buy from somebody with a Hotmail email address these days? Especially if there's money going to be changing hands, you would be a little bit dubious about, where that's from and, who that person is behind that, because obviously anybody could create a Hotmail address specific to somebody's name. So I would always recommend getting that done. If you have already set your website up and your domain provider can offer you an email option, or you can use G Suite, which is part of Google. It's usually around £4 per month to have your email options. That normally gives you like one email. If you want more, obviously you just pay a bit more. This email option is already built into the back of Build It All for you, so you don't have to pay any extra for that. And if you would like us to design a website for you, we'd be more than happy to do that. Our price list is in our files section in the Facebook group. It's our services. You can provide us with the content, or we can create that for you. You have the option, once the website is up and running, of us maintaining your site on a monthly basis. That starts from £10, or you can buy a Builder All package from us and manage it yourself. The benefit of that is that it also gives you all of its 200 other features that you can use at any time. We understand that most small business owners are starting a business on a budget, so that's why we've done such a really good offer for you guys within the Equestrian Business Handbook and our special masterclass websites. So have a little look at those. If you want to have a chat with us any further about that, please do feel free to get in touch. See you in the next video.